Absolutely. You definitely can do that. And that's why I was saying it just takes a long time. Also, if you have friends or family member, they might know somebody that's going through the stressful situation. Now because that happened to me. I had a guy that I worked with maybe 6 years ago, and he had reached out to me saying, hey, I no longer want to stay with the house. I want to actually do a short sale. I want to get rid of. And then he came to me, so just letting people know that you're out there wanting to buy properties, you might actually get an opportunity. And then that's when you come in and you hire an attorney. So if you can tell us a little bit, let's say you find a home, somebody's losing their home, like what do you guys can do for them? Because I know there's two things. There's someone you need to hire to do your short sale process that talks directly with the bank, and you guys do that as well.
So a short sale requirement is that the house be listed. So that is a requirement. So you should go to a realtor to look to purchase these homes. If your friend finds themselves in a situation, introduce them to your realtor and say, look, speak to her, let her guide you, because you are going to have to list that home for a certain amount of time. The bank wants to see that it's listed for at least 60 days.
And why is that?
Because they want to make sure that it's being sold at close to what market value could be. Although you're purchasing it lower, the bank is not going to allow a short sale to be done by a friend. They want to see that it was marketed. They want to see that it's being sold for as much as possible, which is why when you look online and you see these homes that are listed, it's usually one picture. It's usually, not such a nice, appealing picture, but it's listed to be correct in the application. A lot of the times you'll call these listings and they'll say there's already an offer on it, because they're listing it for the time that to be correct, in the bank's eyes. But you definitely will not be able to just save your friend's house and purchase it at a lower price. That's, I don't want to set unrealistic opportunities, but you do want to introduce them to Rosa, let them have the conversation with Rosa, let her list it, and then start the short sale application process.
And how does that start with your office? Like what?
We can be retained in two capacities. We can be retained where we do the actual short sale application and negotiation with the client. We can definitely work with sellers to do that. We understand that they're in distress, so our legal fee gets paid at the time of the short sale out of the proceeds of what would be paid from the bank. We can also just work with what the realtor presents as an offer, and just in the attorney capacity to represent that buyer or seller. And then there's someone who is negotiating the short sale, so we can do either or.
So when we do a short sale, I don't want you guys to think like, oh, they owe $500 and the home is worth $1 million, so I'm going to get it for $500. It doesn't necessarily, that doesn't mean the case. It means that, let's say the home is currently worth, let's say $500, right? And they owe the bank $500,000, but now the house is in terrible condition where now you have to have $200,000 to fix this home. So in reality now the home is worth $300. That's what the short sale means, that you need money to fix and that the home wouldn't be able to sell at market price. So don't think like, oh, that home is worth $1 million, they owe $500, I want to do a short sale because they haven't paid the mortgage for, let's say, 2-3 months or a year. That doesn't work that way. You first have to check and make sure that, hey, what's the market price? How much do they owe? How much is the renovation or whatever needs to be done? And that's when you can actually do a negotiation with the bank. It's not just you going in there and getting it at a cheaper price.
And also keep in mind, when people aren't paying their mortgage, the banks are still paying the taxes and the insurance on the property. So they don't want to lose their lien position and not pay taxes, because then someone can sweep in and, purchase it for a tax lien. So the bank is going to continue to pay the real estate taxes. If that homeowner's not paying for their home insurance, which they're probably not, they're going to put in force-placed insurance, which is probably 5 times as much as a normal insurance policy would be. So all of those fees are adding to what the principal balance is on that mortgage. So they may have a mortgage loan balance of $500,000, but you can easily add up a couple of $100,000 depending on how long they're not making payments for, just in taxes and insurance.
Because remember, they're still charging you interest. So you're still getting hit with interest rate. You're still getting hit with, like she said, the taxes, with the insurance. There's so many, and then they now have an attorney. So now there's an attorney fees to actually, and now somebody too putting everything on the clerk, taking it to, because they have to put, whenever somebody doesn't pay for, let's say, 3 months, that's why you guys see pre-foreclosure, those 3 months, they need to actually publicize it, put it on a newspaper. So all that costs money, and then who's going to pay for it? the homeowner who owns that property. So all those fees, you might think, hey, they owe 500, but when you ask for the final payoff, that's when you see like, wow, they owe 700,000. It's not really 500.
Yeah. And you want to keep in mind too that just to go back to the as-is condition, when you're purchasing these homes, the 203K loan is a good option. What Victor was discussing before, because you are buying houses in not perfect shape, to say the least, and it does give you the ability, as long as you have the time. Remember, time is everything. And set your own expectations where, if you buy this home, construction's gonna have to be done. As long as you have the time to invest into this home, it's worth it, and you get the right price, it's definitely worth it. But when you're kind of thinking between, am I gonna purchase a regular house, that's not in distress, or am I gonna purchase a short sale or an REO, there's different things that you wanna talk about, either with your attorney, with your realtor, and get the best advice that you can to make the best decision for yourself.
The best thing you guys can do is, again, is just let's buy something now, because just like her, she bought a home. Now she has what, $400,000 or $500,000 in equity on that home. If she would have waited for that perfect opportunity, which I'm still waiting, that's why I'm already pre-approved. But you don't want to. If there's an opportunity where you're looking at the numbers, like the two family that I have, I'm only paying $1,000. Where here am I going to pay $1,000 for a 3-bedroom? With my own driveway, my own garage? Like nowhere here you're gonna pay for that. So just look at the numbers, look at the opportunities. Guys can talk to me or one of the girls that I work with, and really sit down, even with your mortgage broker, really sit down and look at the numbers and see if it makes sense for you to get something now versus waiting, or at least get prepared for it, because an opportunity will come. There's always opportunities out there.
And the opportunity is here now because of how low the interest rates are. So that's why I say you might say, yeah, this is a great seminar about REOs and short sales, but if that opportunity is not presenting itself and there is a home that is, then, make the right decision for yourself too. And you have the right team working with you.
Do you guys have any question for the attorney?
I want to add the point that they say is not waiting for their right moment, good deal. I have somebody, a relative, a friend, and they be waiting to buy a house 8 years ago when the house was
8 years ago.
400,000. And now it's 1,200,000, and they still looking for the good deal.
They're still waiting.
And now they waiting. They could have paid 400,000 cash at the moment 8 years ago, waiting for the good deal. Now it's 1,200,000, waiting for the good deal. So the people like that never will buy it. So change mind and buy it now.
Yeah. You know what you have to think of, and forget attorney, home inspector. We're real people.
Yes.
We want to just speak very real and transparent. Everybody works really hard to have the savings that they have. Some people have a very tough time parting with their savings because, you think emergencies happen and you get scared. But when you own property, that's having a savings. Like Victor talked about, that's a legacy. That's something to leave for your kids. There's no better or safer investment than home ownership, in my opinion. You have an asset. You have an asset that's going to continue to hopefully build up in value, and then you have opportunities that will come out of that asset. When you have equity and you want to invest into other homes, there's something to be said about that.